Hello, Summit Esports, and welcome to Week 7 of the Summit Premier League Season 6. I'm Gar Goomba, and with me today is none other than Cherry J. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. We got a big matchup ahead of us. FBE taking on SK. This is a big team to look to get more damage, and FBE going to start out on their blue side. SK taking it on the red. Oh, and we missed a couple bans, unfortunately, but there's going to be the Ari taken off the board. A bit of a scrimmaging character, which can be really strong, give some prowess, but let's see what FBE will respond with.
Yeah, and what's really annoying about Final Boss Esports specifically is that mage can go either bot or mid. So SK definitely has to stay up on their game in terms of figuring out which bans are important for the team, as we do have a Mordekaiser response ban for what's his name? Oh my god. It's the Spartan, right? No. Yeah. Yeah, Spartan. No, it's Seavoyer. Yeah, okay. So Seavoyer is a substitute for Ryan this time around. And I assume that he's a Mordekaiser main. I haven't actually looked at his the profile at all. But if it's that much of a problem where Mordekaiser has to get banned, then there you go.
Going to be scheduling Knightmares, finishing off the bans, but FBE still will be able to respond with that Sivir. So, Final Boss Esports taking the first pick. It's going to be a Hui, most likely placed in the mid lane, trying to get those solo laners out early and getting a little bit of AP in as well. Going to be happy with that. SK responding with a Jinx, locking in that AD carry position. Let's see if they will end up responding with a mid laner of their own here, since the Ari is off the table, so they might try and go for some AD mid laners, but let's see what the plan is cooked up with. Oh, not going to lock in anything like that. Instead, going for the support, and then Nautilus gets picked out.
Yeah, the Jinx is a very comfort pick for Ayak Ben. I think like 70% of the games have been Jinx, and I don't really see a reason to take the Jinx away from him since he's played so much. Oh, it's a Millikar ADC, my fault. But regardless, Jinx has been a comfort ADC for Millikar as well, and you know, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. With that being said, I do still think the Hui can go bot lane, especially with this Annie pick. Uh, this Annie pick is actually going bot. Never mind. Because Tate's is a connoisseur for really weird picks bot lane, and I'm sure Annie is probably another one of those weird picks that he has been cooking up in the back kitchen for a bit. And we're following it up with a possible Shinzao pick. Very solid melee Vanguard for the Final Boss Esports, especially since it has such a really easy go button, and the Crescent Guard helps him stay alive for so long.
Yeah, that's the Jin Zhao. Let's see what SK will finish out with on our first set of picks. This is final phase done, and it's interesting because it kind of begs the question: is this going to be a Hui support? Because I mean, it's a little bit odd, and that's going to be a Lux to finish out our picks. Looking to match most likely that Annie in the mid lane. Lots of AP characters coming out from both sides already.
Yeah, it's definitely a very poke battle between Final Boss and scheduling Nightmares right now. I know the Lux is definitely going to go over to Psy. They have been a pretty proficient Lux player in the past, and they've also just played it a lot in the Summit season so far. And it's just been looking really solid for them. But Final Boss Esports, their pool is looking really crazy right now. I'm not sure if they're trying to go for picks with the Annie or if they're just going to try to do a front to back with the Hui. It's a little odd to see how they want to try to play this out, but we'll figure it out once we get into the game. We do have a Volibear and Garen ban against Final Boss Esports, while Final Boss Esports is looking to ban out more junglers away from Nightmare.
Oh wow. Yeah, there's a lot of jungle bans, which is a little bit interesting seeing as the Volibear, I guess it's kind of forced into the top side to be the main ban, since you already know that Jin Zhao will be placed in the jungle, unless we're really seeing some crazy compositions where that could potentially be like a mid lane.
The Elise ban, now that's an interesting one. Because if I'm scheduling Nightmares, I already have a lot of AP mid, and I really don't think that I would want to pick an AP jungler when I want my high rank mid lane mage to be the solo AP pick. And we can kind of see that be reciprocated with this J4 pick if it gets locked in. Yes, it does. So scheduling nightmares looking like they really want to just pull the go button and try to blow up somebody as fast as possible. But if Final Boss Esports are able to draft around that, they may be able to just get a few picks around River and turn the fight around.
Immediately. I like this response to the Jin Zhao because the Jarvan, it's a good pick. It allows you to isolate picks with the ultimate and SK. They're definitely gonna be in a good spot. Let's see what the response is pick wise. And okay, Wukong likely to be in the top lane. Definitely an interesting pick. All you really need now is that ADC, unless maybe it's a Hui AD carry actually. That kind of would make a little bit of sense.
They definitely can be flexing their mages around as much as they want. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Wukong's probably topside, just to prevent Baratel, who's subbing for Baratel for subbing top lane to prevent him from playing things like the Scion or the Wukong, just because of how, or not the Wukong, the Trundle, just because of how hard it is to actually stick on top of Wukong with all of his mobility. And we do have the Akali lock-in, which could be going towards Eevee this time, or Neversaw. And Neversaw has talked before in previous seasons how they always want to be playing this Akali, but never had the chance. So this could be her time to shine with this Akali. And Baratel locks in the Ornn to wrap up SK's comp. What are your thoughts overall between both of these teams so far?
So the Final Boss Esports, I kind of want to know what anything is here. They
Yeah.
have 3 mid laners, and that's about it. Maybe 2 junglers, you could say. And I assume the Wukong's gonna be top, the Akali's gonna be mid. From there on, who knows? Xinjiao jungle, and then you have 2. Okay, yeah, there's gonna be way any bot lane. That's kind of what I expected, but it's like that's just so unconventional. I didn't want to see it happen.
Well, unconventional is kind of Final Boss Esports' whole game right now, and they've been making it work for this entire season, considering they are now number one, or they're number 2 seed right now. But if they get uh, a nice series win over this, they will be number 1 for the pool. Uh, with that being said, I if Final Boss Esports didn't already look like such a strong team already, on paper, I would feel like scheduling Nightmares have a much better draft just because they have a really solid identity of we're going to be playing for this team fight through the Ornn ulti or the Nautilus or the J4, and we have our Jinx and Lux in the backline ready to burst anyone who gets CC'd. But with that being said, Final Boss Esports, all of their individual players have proven to be very strong in their own rights. So it's definitely going to be a bloodbath between is it going to be champion mechanics that prevail or is it team coordination and comp that will matter?
Yeah, both those things are really gonna have to come out here. You have to pull out all the stops if you are Final Boss Esports because this can be a composition that will work really well, but at the start, you have to be able to make sure you can match your opponents, especially when you're running this very unconventional bot lane. If the Nautilus is able to connect a hook onto you, the Jinx can be so oppressive, and I'm not sure with how this bot lane will work for Final Boss Esports that they will be able to make anything work. And scheduling Nightmares, they look like a team that can do it based off this composition alone, but I'm kind of concerned about the Jarvan 4 because there's not a lot of targets you can isolate with this ultimate.
Yeah, that is true. It kind of feels like the only targets you can go for either this way and Annie, and both of them are in their own right able to burst in the engage. But with that being said, we're going to take it to a break as we wait for the spectator delay. So we will see you then.
bound to what we love. Risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solo ride of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
Welcome back, Summit Esports, to Game 1 between Final Boss Esports versus Scheduling Nightmares. And, man, having not seen the Final Boss Esports game live, this is one of the comps to remember, let me tell you. But anyways, if in case you're tuning in just now, I'm Gargoomba, and with me tonight is Cherry J. Hello once again.
Lots of aggression. Nautilus forcing out the flash already. It does seem like they will have Hex Tech Flat or Hex Flash enabled, so they're going to be not in the worst situation possible, but right now they're definitely not in the best. A lot of control over the river gained for this red side of SK. Let's see whether or not Final Boss Esports is going to concede, whether or not they're going to fight this, and with this engagement coming in and already having control of the opposition's jungle, oh yeah, FBE, they're definitely gonna look to take something. No, never mind. Everyone's gonna concede, and they're just gonna keep their own sides.
Yeah, it's not really an idea for them to try verticaling between top and bot. Understandably, if Final Boss Esports wanted to do that, their top side is a lot stronger than Scheduling Nightmares. I would agree with that. and forcing Nightmare to path towards his bot side is probably not the best situation. But luckily, most of the attention will be probably around this mid lane, so regardless of whether or not there was a vertical or not, I think both teams would have been fine with it. As Alturas looks for another hook. Yeah, not a lot of really early game aggression, but once again, all of these champions don't really do too much early outside of the Wukong. As you can see, Baratel is getting like mollywopped right now, but thank God it's Ornn with Dorn Shield, so the healing is going to be pretty superficial later in the game.
Oh, and immediately, this Ornn already such a low line. They have to play safe, or else when a gank appears, this Jin Zhao can really start burning them down. But they're going to be able to stay alive, they're going to be able to stay healthy, and on the opposite side of the map, it's definitely not looking too amazing for this bot lane, seeing as a lot of pressure already being found, and SK, they're really just kind of pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, with that being said though, the bot lane is volatile enough where this Annie could just blow up the Jinx if one misstep happens. And that's not really something you want to see, especially because the bot side is probably their weakest. Lux in the mid lane, however, is kind of even in gold with the Akali's. Isn't really a good thing because Lux wants to be able to have this early game pressure because she's ranged into Akali, and if she's not able to punish the Akali as hard as she would like, then you know, it's going to be a pretty bad situation later when a Akali blows up the Lux late in the game.
Yeah, especially since there's not only that Lux, there's also that Jinx that this Akali can be super volatile towards. And even the Jarvan 4 can be pretty easy to kill. So I do like the Final Boss Esports approach into this when it comes to their ability to take targets, and with how they're matching their opponents, it's looking good because this composition is going to be able to scale a lot better, at least in my personal opinion, against their opponents.
Yeah, but we do have Jin Zhao. Actually, no, not the Jin Zhao. Sorry, the J4. Sorry, the spear spinning animation threw me off so badly, but no, it looks like Knightmare just wanted to chill for his Raptors respawn. Maybe he's hovering around Poi Wife just in case the Shin's out there show up mid. As Neversaw is getting poked out quite a bit. Thankfully, with the Thorn Shield, the second win. I'm actually not sure. But oh, the Q does hit as Knightmare is ready to look for this gank. Ready to swag flag as Neversaw is just going to walk out. The Shuriken Flip is still available, so she'll be able to just walk out. Just fine. She does pick, or Knightmare does pick up a ward in this mid lane, so a little extra gold going there. But we see now that the middle card is getting zoned off pretty hard as Alturas is looking for a game, maybe.
Boss Esports, they're going to be ganked up towards the bot lane. Flash gets forced out. That's going to be the Jarvan 4 able to hit him straight on up. That's a stun to try and relieve the pressure, but it's still the Jarvan 4. And Nightmare going to take the kill. Scheduling Nightmares, they're already up to a good lead. Airborne's going to come out. Some good movement coming in from this Ornn in the top side. Luck's going to try and even up that kill deficit, but still this top lane is pretty matched. Both players at about half HP. Back towards mid, we see some damage. Jin Zhao gets stunned up, but now they do have some good damage, and that's going to be Neversaw shutting down Void Wife, evening out this game, and Final Boss Esports not going to be in the gutter for too long.
That Shuriken Flip proc the electrocute. That was actually super important. Neversaw predicting the flash. Void Wife just wasn't able to get out. And good gank for overall from Spartan. We do see Nightmare pathing up towards the outside. Actually, no, he's gonna sneak these grubs. Baratel does have a lot of good lane pressure right now, even though it is pretty volatile based on who wants to engage first. Considering how Baratel is quite low on mana, but it looks like Sea Warrior is just gonna take a reset. Alturas is roaming up to the grubs just in case there's any funny actions happening towards Final Boss's esports side of grubs. But it just looks like they're gonna give.
Darksteel is going to be purchased along with the Sorcerer's Shoes in the mid lane. Going to be a good buy to get that extra speed, and especially since Neversaw does not have that teleport, they really need to be able to get back to lane when playing against these mages. Since they don't have ranged attacks of their own, it gets a little bit more difficult to play within lane. And still though, this Ornn at a difficult HP line to stay alive at, but they will be able to just barely dodge out from this top lane Wukong. And over towards the bot lane, we see this Jinx playing carefully, able to connect a couple shots, the wards giving some really strong vision over towards the scheduling Knightmares. But still, this FBE side, despite not taking the first blood, being down on kills in that regard, and they're going to be down kills towards the Void Grubs, they will be up on the gold somehow with 300 of a lead. And despite that, it's mostly in that Akali with 167, really showing that this Lux is not going to be able to match.
Let's not forget about the Wukong right now. He is basically a boot's worth of gold up on Baratel at the moment. And while it doesn't exactly show, considering Ornn does technically have compared to Wukong, he's still pretty strong as he's looking for a quick trade. I feel like Baratel still wins that though. It's a nice E, connects against the wall, and Seed Warrior's taking so much damage.
Grasp of the Undying putting in work, trying to connect. The ult able to do it, predicting right, and Seed
Solo Bolo King, number 2, Baratel with the Ornn Horn was able to get Seed Warrior. He wasn't able to flash out from the Ornn Horn. Oh wait, hold on, we do have some fights happening.
It is crazy because when you look at that gold in the bottom of the map here, it is going to be a very small lead for this Ornn, only 100 despite taking that solo kill. Flash of the ball, going to be able to get him up. That's the ult coming in, and it's going to be the side of the scheduling Knightmares taking this lead, and it's a combination of both ults coming in from the jungle and mid to secure the feat of warfare.
Yeah, Spartan definitely tried to do his best to get Boywife out of this lane with that game, considering the flash was still down from the first engagement. But Knightmare was just ready to pick up the kill, and Spartan had to burn an early Crescent Guard to try to keep Knightmare off, but Knightmare wasn't about to let that happen. Flashes over the wall and just cataclysms, and Boywife with just more than enough mana was able to get a final spark off, but bot lane, Essence flashes in with Tibbers. I think that's dead.
That's the power of this combo in the bot lane, apparently. Wei and Annie both working hand in hand, securing the kill onto the Jinx. It looks like this Jinx is probably going to buy out Who's House to start us off, because those arrows can be really powerful on something like a Jinx who fires so often. But Boywave getting solo killed. This is solo kill after solo kill this game, and nobody going for assists. And that's 2 kills for the Akali onto this Lux. This has been a player who's been so proficient. Neversaw already scaling high up. Hextech Alternator bot. That's going to be an amplifying tone as well. I believe they're probably going to go with something like a Storm Surge to start us off, but let's see whether or not they will opt in for that when they get the gold. Still though, will we see another solo kill? The ultimate from the Ornn is up, I believe, so they might have some chances to do it.
Yeah, but especially considering the fact that there's not really much that Hamilcar can do solo when Alturas is roaming all the time. I feel like Final Boss Esports should just be finishing their bot lane over and over again. There's not really much happening, but Ornn does come down. Oh no!
This is absurdity. Look at that. Aggression gets found, and that's Beretto to get the next kill. Seaboyer off the board, and that's 2 kills already found. And I think that despite FBE is looking strong, it's still just not going to matter. Good damage coming in. Engagement's going to be there. Ult comes in from the J4. Still, though, the Ornn's going to engage in combat. Knightmare finds the kill. It's a 3v1 situation. Overwhelmed and distraught. But back in the bot lane, it seems like it's going to be FBE able to match them 5 kills to 5 kills and keeping this gold lead in hand. That's a big gold lead, actually, but it doesn't seem to be that much when it comes down to it, because Grubs will be taken in exchange. Never mind, they're going to pass right on that.
Yeah, there's not really much they can do against Grubs with, you know, a Nautilus and a Lux. But one thing to note is that Hamilcar is just going to get bullied over and over again bot. Like, this Sway has so much weight here that it lets them shove into the offside jungle. And, you know, if they keep playing it the way that they want to, Hamilcar will literally not be able to play the game safely. I will say that fight topside was definitely pretty beneficial for scheduling Knightmares. It was a little unfortunate that Knightmare died without being able to get a return kill onto Neversaw, but I think a 2-for-1 special is definitely a little more in a positive light compared to what's going on. As we do have a Super Mega Death Rocket heading topside. Not exactly sure what that's supposed to go for. Maybe he was trying to see if they were on grubs, which, you know, lo and behold, they are not.
Back in the mid lane, the Lux, they've had a bad time when it comes to matching up against this Akali, but if you can secure some decent damage, make this Akali back off, they are going to build up a little bit of magic resist, as we can see by their items, but not going to be enough to really stop this Akali from wanting engagement. And yeah, that is going to be the Storm Surge looking to be their next item. That's the Nautilus ult to engage. The next going to be this Jin Zhao pushing right on through, and that's the shutdown coming in, and at that point with the way off the board, it leaves this tower defenseless.
You know, I respect Salteris for dying to a tower. That is a quick recall. You know, considering how the death timer was like 16 seconds, I'm fairly certain he would actually have been faster with that death. Spartan does return with the grub skills topside in response to Knightmare ganking bot lane. We do have Neversaw actually looking for something sneaky. No, I don't think there's really much you can do in the river right now. As Seaboyer and Spartan are looking for a really aggressive look in the topside jungle of scheduling Knightmares. Uh-oh. Boy, wait, that spot.
Oh, but the Sarut's going to be there, and that's going to be a counter aggression coming in immediately. Some great capitalization on that Boy Wife, securing a second kill. Going to be able to go even in this match, and Malignant's going to be bought, and see, the engagement's coming through. Tower's going to start hitting, but Nautilus not going to be found. Yes, they will get found. Stun comes through as well, and it's not going to just be one, it's a double kill, 2-for-1 combo, and FBE able to really match here. And SK, they're not out of the woods. Scheduling, they're still not gonna be in the worst position ever with a 1,000 gold lead. Obviously, Final Boss Esports is gonna be happy, but do they secure the kill? No, they will not just yet. But that's gonna be the barrier coming out, and that's it.
Hamilcar might go getting the solo kill on top of Tate, but. No, that mid lane play, I'm gonna gloss over that again. Boy Wife was able to get a nice blinding light after being forced to flash away from the Shinzao engage, and I almost thought that Alturas would have griefed it with that dredge line, but it still lined up with the final spark, and the tower was just hitting so much damage. There was nothing that Spartan could have done in that situation after getting hit by that final play. So really well played from scheduling Knightmares on that front.
Oh, let's see. Right now, Mountain Drake gonna be attacked by the side of scheduling Knightmare, but as of now, it's not gonna really be too bad, even if they lose this, because they'll be able to take this top tower by the looks of it. The Wukong gonna be a little bit far back to contest, but they will be here just in the nick of time. And let's see if they can keep this Ornn away from the tower, because right now Ornn with Bramble best bot, they're going to be able to get some decent anti-heal on. Not a whole ton of players who are going to be completely neutralized by that, but Dodo knocking up the Wukong, but they want to engage, and they're going to be able to do a decent job. Clone comes out, letting them jump over that Otacon wall, and they're just going to back off.
Yeah, there's a lot of foot dancing happening between everything in bot river. As we do have first tower taken on the side of scheduling Knightmares. Barachel is slamming that tower. As the second part of the Ornn Fort is cancelled by Cobble, but unfortunately Seaboyer, well actually fortunately for him, Seaboyer does secure the kill on Barachel, but I'm not sure if losing first tower for that's really worth it.
Oh, this river is not looking to be contested by this red side. They're going to back off Control's Extremity. And yeah, that's going to be FBE to take this dragon by the looks of it. They're up on gold, and they're going to be able to match them 1-to-1 on Drake. So they're going to be happy with that, but seems like this gold deficit might be contained. Never mind. Clone to get over that mountain and still get away from that Ornn. And not in a great spot, I'm going to be totally honest. And I think they should have tried dying to the tower, because now Knightmares going to be able to pick up a kill.
I mean, I think the Wukong was going to die regardless of what happens, and it was going to go towards Nightmare. I think he was just trying to see how much CS he could get before he dies. Which, spoiler alert, that is 2 minions. With that being said, we do have Never Saw hovering towards this top side. Maybe he's looking for a return play as we do have Boy Wife finally shoving the wave in lane, heading over to the lane zone. Yeah, Final Boss Esports is just gonna have to give this as Never Saw with the aggressive flash.
Oh, look at this. Contestant comes out, able to try and neutralize anything, but the red side of the killer, or Nightmare, sorry, they're able to get the Herald, they're able to get the bit of damage in, but still on the bot side, it's not going to be a tower to convert just yet. Instead, Final Boss Esports, they're able to keep the damage away. I mean, I'm liking this from Final Boss Esports on the gold side more, but there's just so much power presence that the side of scheduling Knightmares has been putting through, where they just look so good as a team.
Yeah, they've been really showing their stuff of just how strong they are between each player individually. With that being said, though, even though it does look like that they're gonna be at a 600k deficit, never mind. Essence with the huge tibbers bursting Hamilcar.
Oh, and this is not looking good whatsoever, but for the side of this jungler, this Jarvan 4, they had a bad position, and it led to a, or not the Jarvan 4, sorry, that was a Wukong to fall, and they're 1-4 right now. This is really not a good performance that you should be putting up when you're this far into a season, and already both teams at 10-10 kills wise, they've been able to match each other. This game has kind of just been stalemates, and I think with how volatile it's getting, once we get to like a 25-30 minute mark, one good team fight is just going to decide this game.
I will say Seaboyer isn't an official player for Summit, so I'm not expecting tremendous performance. So the 0-4 or the 1-4 is all right for him, considering he's playing in an unusual environment. And I'm sure with the team composition they have right now, trying to pick an 80 top laner from his pool is a little rough, especially when you have to play against a tank. But no, I think he's still going to be doing fine, especially since Wukong is going to be a big tool for getting on top of Lux and Jinx later in the game. These deaths don't really matter too much, as we do have Essence holding mid lane as lane swapping all of them out. There's looking for a flag, but is not really going to be able to reach. So he dropped the Rift Herald. What a freak up the map. Question is, will anyone drive? We do have Baratel. Does he have his Herald license? A little hard to see, but I think he did hit it. As he's going for the second drive by Baratel, you do not have to take the second class. But he gets it! The car breaks down just in time.
Oh, the root's going to come through. There's going to be the Ornn able to knock some players up. Big stuff coming through. Jarvan 4 is going to halt this aggression. This turret doing work. The work isn't good enough. That's going to be the kill coming in from the Ornn onto that way. And another kill coming in, but still the tower's going to be able to clear some people up. And that Annie with a double kill going to be really happy to even up the kill deficit. But still, how on earth, despite the engagement, is this side of Final Boss Esports still in the driver's seat by such a wide margin?
Big Baratelli. But I will give props to the combination of Spartan and Essence. They were able to CC Ornn from being able to hit the second part of Call of the Forge God. So there weren't any knockups there, but with a nice flashy, they were able to get Tate and Essence knocked up under the tower. It was just a little too hard of a commit though, as both Baratel and Hamilcar die to that same tower. But I think that alleviates a lot of pressure, as I'm sure Scheduling Nightmares wants to look for this dragon. They are currently 2.5k down, just going off of other things as well as the top tower going down. And we do have a team coming off the seaboard that they really want to fight this dragon. It's currently 1-1, but Final Boss Esports are set up super well. The only real answer to get in is just, you have to have Thorn walk up. Nautilus is way too squishy, and J4 is kind of your only source of engage. So if either of those two get out, it's not going to be looking too great. They are conceding it, as Final Boss Esports are mixed between the red side of the jungle and the bot half of the river. But look at this Jin Zhao and Akali. They are ready for this flank. Alturas is going to walk up, but he doesn't have vision. The Blast Cone does knock up the Jin Zhao and prevents any engage mapping. The binding line hits.
Oh, look at this engagement. It's so good from the side of FBE, but it's going to be capitalized upon with his support dying instantly. The Annie not able to get much value. Instantly shutting this Ornn, at least in their tracks, going to be broken down, but just taking so much damage, forced to wait here and get slaughtered. Not looking good. Boywife able to get the kill, and we see a flank coming through from the Akali, but they will be spotted out, and leads to the side of SK taking that kill deficit, but they're not going to be able to match any gold just yet. Maybe if they take this break, that could start changing, giving them a bit of a lead, and they will be put on 2 more souls to go, or 2 more drakes to go, sorry, that soul, but still, they are not in the best spot gold-wise. It's really something to be surprised about, because this Akali, somebody who, obviously in laning phase you wouldn't expect them to be doing well, but they already almost have 3 items, and their Darksteel is looking amazing.
Yeah, but that fight definitely brought up quite a bit of a gap to Scheduling Nightmares deficit, because now they're just down to 1k instead of the 2.5k they were literally the fight before. But I will give props to all the Scheduling Nightmares. The setup from Baratel simply by interrupting the Blast Cone, followed up by just this huge binding light that Boywife hit onto the Annie and the Jin Zhao. It just set up everything for Baratel to get this giant call of the Forge God, forcing the flash of the Sea Warrior. It was just, they got lost in the chaos, and Scheduling Nightmares were able to capitalize on it. Neversaw was able to prevent Boywife and Hamilcar from being able to help with the dragon, which may have messed up the tempo, but Neversaw also wasn't able to get anything out of it. We do have this crazy aggression topside.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good. There's going to be some damage in the bot side with the top laners dropping some damage and kind of hitting each other, looking to get some damage. Obviously, the Ornn ahead they are. Black Cleaver will be fought for the Wukong, so they might be able to get rid of him at some point, but Tate's going to be able to get a good kill in. They're taking out that support, and the Nautilus down and out. It might lead to another kill, and that's going to be it. Brettle taking down Seaboy and getting that lead once more, making this Wukong really down on them.
And Final Boss Esports look to take over this map topside as this Baron just spawned. They might be able to look forever. They're also just going to pressure it because, I mean, for all Scheduling Nightmares know, they have no way of checking without getting the bush camped. We do have Tibbers being a living ward heading towards this top half of the bush. Spartan is sitting here kind of himself.
Oh, maybe calling out another player. There's the Lux ult coming in, but the tower will break. Able to hit out on the Q, but that's not going to be enough. That's the Jarvan Force stuck with their ultimate flashing on out, but Knightmare still is able to grab another kill. If we're seeing anything left, it's going to be just stuck in one place, forced to watch themselves die, but unfortunately, this Jing Zhao taken down, shut down off the board, and let's see whether or not they can potentially get anything more. But at 0 and 6, they really have to start making some kind of aggressive play because their opponent in this Jarvan Force has been so dominant with 2 items already on the board, building up some magic resistance as well. They definitely are going to be a player to make this game look well for the side of SK, and they're finally going to take a gold lead as well. After FBE was up so high on it, they're going to be losing out, and they're also going to be losing out on the chance of Baron, but he's just going right over.
Yeah, I see the aggression that they try to pull off on Boy Wife, but unfortunately that kind of led to Never Saw's doom as the blinding light lands just inside tower range, and J4 was ready to follow up with a swag and drag combo, followed by a Cataclysm. It was just not a good look as a lot of gold just went over to, I think Umbilicar actually got the kill. And, you know, after having all this pressure set up on the map after killing 2 members previously, losing all of that pressure is just not great as Scheduled Nightmares have one of the first periods of time where they have a giant gold lead, 2K up.
Oh my gosh, it's so insane how this game was just flipped on its head. And at 50k, it's really looking like the scheduling Nightmare, despite them having a little bit of a weird composition they are running here with, wait, is the I remember we were talking about this earlier, and we were talking about how scheduling Nightmare plays unconventional comps. Are they supposed to be on the blue side here? I just noticed that now.
No, Final Boss Esports is the one who plays unconventional comps.
Oh, I was not sure on that. Well, I totally am just like losing my mind tonight. Oh, well, okay, well, Nightmare is on the scheduling Nightmare team. That would make sense. Okay, well, yeah, I'm like completely losing my mind, and this Baron buff gonna really start putting in the work here. With the towers getting destroyed in the bot side, it's really been this Orin to do the heavy lifting in teamfights and in that solo laning phase, because this has been the player to really dominate. And okay, the Wukong really doesn't want to match him at all, forcing the clone out as soon as they even come close to an engagement. Drake is going to be taken, and that's going to put this side of the scheduling Nightmare on the soul point. So it's definitely looking good. They're head-on objectives, they're head-on kills, they're head-on souls. What more could you ask?
Head in game series, which they may be able to get if they win this game. But with the amount of wave clear that Quay is able to dish out thanks to the QE, there's not really a lot of pushing that can happen if they're not going to clear the wave. With that being said, the Baron buff should be running out in the next 30 seconds, which will put a bit of a hamper on their plans of trying to siege this lane. Do have a final spark coming out. It lands onto the Annie. Okay, that's actually a lot of damage from a raw final spark. As Neversaw might be caught out here.
Oh, Neversaw gonna try and engage, and that's gonna be the Lux called out. And maybe, yep, there's the Airborne coming in. Good, or an ult to secure the kill. Essence can fall. That's gonna be the TP coming online, but a TP right on into the hands of scheduling Nightmares. And finally, this is going to be allowing the Wukong to get out, but unfortunately, it's a little bit too little too late with 2 of their teammates dying in the fray.
Wow, that was an insane catch. I would like to point out, just as a meme though, Veritel was walking over to try to cut off the Akali, and I think because he leveled up in the middle of the game, he actually started upgrading Nightmare instead of auto-attacking the Akali. It's just a little thing that I want to point out, but I thought it was funny. But Scheduling Nightmare is able to secure this Otacon, and considering they already have quite a few dragons up on their sleeve, the 25% buff from the Luminous Otacon is definitely not a thing to scoff at now, considering it is an Ocean Dragon, or 2 Ocean Dragons, potentially a 3rd if they secure this next one, which is a lot of regen for Scheduling Nightmares. And if I'm Final Boss Esports right now, the last thing I want is to have my Jarvan and Orin regenning in the middle of a fight. So this is definitely going to be a game that they have to figure out how to close out, because it's not going to be looking too pretty if this Akali can't blow up the Jinx and Boss.
Back over towards this mid lane, we're going to be seeing both this support and bot laner trying to push up these turrets. We get to see a little bit of divergence. There's not a lot of objectives on the board, and not many to come up anytime soon. Minute 20 until that Baron's going to be spawning out, and 2 minutes and 11 until we're going to be seeing that final potential Ocean Drake come into play as well. So I think you could potentially just wait for that and maybe have the time to just trade Baron for Drake. Obviously, if you are both of these teams, you're going to want to contest that Drake. And, you want that Baron as well, but it's a little bit less necessary in some regards. Obviously, you want to be able to contest for it if you can. It's really going to be that sole point that you want to get to, and that's going to be this Nautilus already really extended damage, but boy, Mike with this knife from the ultimate, able to get the kill, and now double root comes out. There's the airborne as well. It's a double kill from the Lux. Boy, Mike is really happy. Tate's going to be able to trade him out, supporting the team and getting the kill, but Knightmare taking down Tate. Looking like this Kali had a little bit of an overextension here, trying to get out, but the ultimate's not going to be able to arrive in a safe spot, but they will, off the back of the Ignite, take that final bit of damage needed to secure the death.
Warrior might be able to get out of this, actually, as he's got quite a bit of fancy feet. Never mind, scheduling Knightmares, able to scoop up this Wukong, and that's going to be an ace for scheduling Knightmares as they look to siege with no minions.
Oh,
right
this
now,
might
but
just be the game, actually.
we'll see. The Demolish doesn't do that much because there's not a lot of minions, so they get a bunch of boost and resistance from the tower. Annie and the Jin Tower are going to be up, but this Lux is still here, and she still does quite a bit of damage right now.
Yeah, there's still like 30 seconds until the Wukong comes back, 10 seconds until the Akali comes back. But now we will be seeing some divergences away, looking for the scheduling Knightmares to potentially back off. I'm not sure. It looks like they will be going in on the Drake instead of opting for the Baron, but it seems like FBE has kind of relinquished the idea of going for that Baron. Instead, they will also attempt to contest for this Drake. Let's see whether or not they'll be able to take it. It will be spawning in 5 seconds, so we can see it spawning up right now.
I think Baron's a little fake for scheduling Knightmares. They don't really need to have the Baron or end the game. I think that in their mindset, this Ocean Soul is way more important to make sure they stay alive in fights. Especially considering that they keep running out of mana as Knightmare kills this Annie.
Annie way too overextended. That's going to be some good damage over onto the Jin Zhao as well. Some good extensions coming out from this Nautilus, though, to really be able to start to engage. This Root comes out, able to connect it onto the Lux. It's going to be able to go for more. Jin Zhao is going to be there, but that's going to be some good stuff from the Jarvan 4. Able to isolate some targets, but not going to be able to secure much. And that's going to still not matter with 30 kills being adapted. Make it 31. Boy Wife finds the end.
The game!
Oh, and that's it. I didn't even notice that. On the bottom right of your mini-map, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that final player. And that's just going to be the horn knocking down the tower. Ooh, look at that from across the map. Bring him to FaZe Clan, because that's a no-scope assignment.
Ready to flash damage, unable to get anything out of it. And that's going to be game 1. Going over to scheduling Knightmares. I'm not sure anybody really had that on their bingo card for the night. But, you know, that's a huge W for scheduling Knightmares. I'd feel pretty good if I, you know, clapped at like the #1, #2 team of the league.
That really was absurd, huh?
You know, Barrett's showing after it just took one season for him to see his top lane performance, and man, I don't see why he didn't start playing top lane before. He is absolutely cooking these guys up in the top lane. Still, I will say, really well played over from Tate and Eversoul. I think they played their lanes pretty well. It's just the hecticness of these later game fights just didn't go into their favor, as Hamilcar and Boy Wife were simply just untouchable thanks to the J4 and the Nautilus having like extremely good peel for their team. So well played to both teams, but in the end, scheduling Knightmares take this W.
Yeah, they really were just the team to beat. This is a best of 3, though, so there still is time to readapt yourselves and contain this game for the side of the Final Boss Esports. But we're going to go to a short little break here. We'll be back with the draft right after this.
welcome back, Summit Esports, from Game 1 of Final Boss Esports versus Scheduling Nightmare. Quite a banger of a game as Barito and Hamilcar showed up for that first game. Uh, honestly, I'm at a loss of words. I really didn't think Scheduling Nightmares would have been able to not only win the first game into Final Boss Esports, but also like absolutely wreck house. Uh, And we kind of have a glimpse of figuring out why people like to ban Boy Wife's Lux. They were super impressive with it, but that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on that game, Terry J?
Yeah, I really do understand now why that Ari was banned off at the start because it makes you understand the fact that some of these players on things like these control mages, not control mages, sorry, just like mages in general though, when you really do get those combos, it really does give you that like ability to dominate. And it was time and time again, Luxar after Luxar, FBE did not falter, but they were not able to keep up the pressure that was being applied to them, and it was just this Lux that was really that volatile creature that could not be stopped.
The tile creature. That is definitely a description for Lux, I will say. But yeah, we're gonna be starting Game 2 draft real soon. I'm sure if I'm scheduling Nightmares, I feel pretty good about having that first W. But we can't count Final Boss Esports just yet, and this game may be the game where they show off why they're the number one slash number two seed of the league so far.
This is a
Now,
big game. You need to be able to bring this in a 2-0 fashion, or else you're limiting your chances to be able to close out in game number 3. So, right now, SK, you gotta do it. Scheduling Nightmares, if you want to finish it off strong, it's gotta start here. Let's see what their draft will look like. I'm expecting to see probably some bans. I feel like if you're Final Boss Esports, you want to take away the Ornn. The Ornn looked so good. And maybe if you're SK scheduling Nightmares, you want to take out that Jarvan 4 because that was a big playmaker. Or sorry, not Jarvan 4. That was the on that side. There wasn't a whole ton. Maybe you want to get rid of the. I don't know. I'm trying to think of it. Mordecai's are going to take it off like last game. There's also going to be a Pantheon, so there's a lot of good picks to be banning out early on, and that's gonna be same as last game as well, where we're gonna be seeing the next ban from FBE coming out once more. So I'm liking this from both sides. They're keeping up with what they know, and there's gonna be the Ari as well, not switching it for anything else. So I'm not totally sure if I love this, but let's see how this will be adapted.
I mean, I think the Kindred ban is fine. I also think scheduling Nightmares now understand that, they got they won the first series. They don't really need to change any of their bans. Maybe the Akali if they really felt like it, but they have all the tools that they want. They're picking Hamilcar as very comfortable Jinx once again, which even though he did get kind of for lack of better term, mollywopped again, bot lane early. Uh, he really showed up later in the game as he picked up his Yuntals and started scaling, and he was just getting a bunch of kills later in the game, especially the shutdown on the Akali. I think it was really important to get a success onto his team, as we do see the Talia lock in for uh, Final Boss Esports. I'm inclined to believe this is another bot lane mage pick for Tate, as he has shown the Talia bot before. But there could be a option where their jungler may pick the Talia, or maybe even never saw a pick the Talia. I don't think she really does though. I'm but I am fairly certain that this Talia is probably going towards Tate. And we do have a Garen lock-in over for Final Boss Esports, which super solid champion. I'm not sure if it's really blind worthy. Uh, with that being said, I don't really think Berto has that many choices that plays into a Garen, as they look to pick Shogath over for scheduling Nightmares. Which, depending on what build he goes, he may be going the Heartsteel health tanking one, or he can be going the really cringe Speedster Cho. I'm not exactly sure.
I like it. I like it because before the Garen got banned in the second ban of second phase of ban, so it kind of led us to believe that there was a little bit of fear towards the Baron Garen getting picked up. But I think picking up in the first phase, it's a little bit of an odd idea, but there's a Cho'Gath, so that could be a support Cho'Gath, could be a mid Cho'Gath, could be a top Cho'Gath. It's pretty flexible, but that's already going to limit the support away because that's going to be the Leona following us. So let's see whether or not this will be a Cho'Gath versus Garen in the top lane because I don't love that matchup for Garen, but it's not the worst either because you do get to remove the armor with your E.
Yeah, that's true. But it could just be a speedster Cho'Gath, as it has shown a lot of prevalence in pro play as well as just regular play. Super oppressive build, super easy to play. Uh, Honestly, it's the little troll if you don't go it right now until they figure out how to balance Cho'Gath. I'm a little hesitant on the Leona pick. We already really know that this Talia is most likely going bot lane, so it's already hard for Leona to Zenith Blade on top of the Talia, but now you have to deal with an Alistar pick, so Leona literally just can't play the game bot lane.
Yeah,
So depending
Leona's
on
going
how they,
off.
oops, sorry, but
Oh, no,
depending
you're
on
good. You're
how
good.
they want to play the lane, I feel like Alturas is just going to be forced to roam over and over again because I really would not want to play this bot lane as Leona. And we do see the Silas ban for scheduling Nightmares in order to deny Alistar from being able to pick up a Garen ulti or an Alistar ulti.
Next up, Volley going to be banned up once more. We saw this last game. We're seeing it again. And let's see what will FBE Final Boss Esports take away as their final pick. So I'm a little bit surprised we didn't see them banning out any of the characters that just kind of annihilated them. Maybe we could see something like a ban on the Kali, which really was a detriment. But whether or not I expect that, I don't know. Because actually, is this a fearless draft? I don't know if
It
we
is not.
discussed. Oh, it is not. Okay, so that's what I assumed. And they're gonna ban out the Wukong, so I don't hate this. But was that not the character they were just playing?
Eh, I mean, they
I'm
did
just a
pick
little
the
bit
Wook.
concerned here.
Uh, yeah, but I think it's. I actually don't have a good answer to that. I don't know if Nightmare really plays that much Wukong. He is a very strong connoisseur for unconventional jungle picks. We may see the Zed from him this game or the Hecarim, but uh, I I think they're just trying to limit 80 junglers.
Darius Jungle, it's a good pick right now. Darius Jungle is so meta, and I like this a lot because of the fact that you really do get to kind of just be oppressive with that movement speed and follow up on anything. So I like this a lot. Let's see if the Jinx is going to be able to slow them down along with the Leona. I don't love the idea they're running both Darius and Garen, but it's not the end of the world. And if you're good enough to make it work, it will work. So Viego is going to be matching in the jungle. Let's see who will be that kind of jungle diff in our second game.
It's gonna be Hamilcar. He's gonna be the jungle diff. Trust. But we're gonna wait for this last pick for scheduling Nightmares. The Hui. All right, the Hui's gonna go mid lane, which means Cho'Gath is going top. That makes sense. It's a little harder to play the comp that Scaling Nightmare has compared to the last game, but I don't think it's impossible. I will say that Cho'Gath being the only frontline with Leona is a little difficult considering Darius and Garen really want you to get in, and Alistar and Talia really want to make sure you can't get in. So it's just going to be really difficult for scheduling Nightmares to really make a player on the map, as we have Kassadin locked in for Neversaw. What a power
Oh,
move.
Caston, it's a decent mid laner, and I do like this pick a lot because it adds a little bit of extra AP. And then I said I like it until I realized that does leave them with no like real AD carries. So they're going to be playing a double mage What? Okay,
It's
I'm gonna
Talia
let
Alistar
you.
bot lane.
That's what I'm thinking. Um,
Because fun fact, on a Talia's Unraveled Earth, if you're standing in it and Alistar W's you, it counts as the stun.
huh.
So really, do not. It is super difficult to play in the range of Talia, with Alistar around. So it's pretty brutal to have to figure out how to play around it. But knowing how Final Boss Esports are finally, pulling out these pretty strong picks for their bot mid, I'm curious to see if they're going to be able to, you know, control the chaos that happened compared to game one and potentially lead themselves to a game two win.
I I like this composition more than West. I'm gonna give it that much. I think SK taking away the Hui is a good pick because the Hui was something that actually didn't look horrible. So I'm I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not FBE is gonna be able to limit the success of this Jinx and Leona getting picked up once more. Because now that this is here, it worked well last game. It might work well this game. The Cho'Gath can be switching away from the Ornn, and then we're also gonna be seeing the Viego, which I like the adaptation of a Viego into this, switching it up, especially into this Darius and Garen, two health-based junglers, and this character is something that usually will buy that Bork, so I like this, but I'm not totally sure.
Well, we'll find out as we're going to get into game two in just a second as we wait for Spectre to play. So we'll see you then. Welcome back, Summit Esports, to Game 2 between Scheduling Nightmares and Final Boss Esports with a lack of an overlay this time, but that's besides the point. Sorry, it is loading according to the funny voice in my ears. I think it may be named God or PPP, depending on who you believe on. But regardless, it is Gar Goomba once again, and joining me today is also Cherry J, as we looked for this, you know, 5 stack, or not 5 stack, oh my god, I can't even think, because I've been playing too much, 5 point. I've been playing too much Comp League, and it's just been ingrained in my brain. But regardless, Cherry J, how do you feel about what's going on here? I know you talked about it a bit earlier during the draft, but have your thoughts changed over the wait, or do you think it's still kind of the same?
I mean, I do prefer SK. I mean, I think that this Jinx Leona was very volatile and it was very strong in game number 1, so I'm gonna still go with my same thoughts of I think it should be able to kind of come up on some good wins and get some good damage out, but FBE, they still do want to contest, and let's see with a Garen switch against this Cho'Gath, will they be able to really make the switch happen? Obviously, Garen passive going to be able to keep them available in lane for a little bit longer than they would have been able to on the Wukong, but I don't love the Garen into this just because you have to get really up close and personal, and when you're down and you have to overextend to be able to find a kill, it gets a little bit frustrating when it doesn't work.
With that being said, though, early game Cho'Gath doesn't have a lot of pressure as a flashing knife from Seaboyer. Oh my goodness. Both flashes down topside, but Seaboyer definitely lost his kill potential here.
Yeah, Seaboyer definitely not going to be happy for a while now. And from the other side, SK, they're just able to keep playing their game. We look over at the runes, we're gonna get some very standard stuff on. Obviously, the Garen looking to play for some speed rather than extra damage, going for something like Conqueror, going for something like Grasp of the Undying, and a little bit of interesting stuff from the mid lane. Not gonna go for anything like Cosmic or anything like that, instead going for Summoning Ray, and I don't hate it. It gives you a little bit extra poke, but not what I would have expected, to be totally honest.
I think the phase rush cast is actually pretty interesting now that I've pointed out. I guess considering how Clay is a very elusive mage and Caston can't really walk up that far, I'm assuming at the very least that the phase rush not only lets you go into the mana flow tree or mana flow band part of sorcery, but it also isn't reliant on having to kill someone for mana. You just have to really mind. So maybe that's the move that they're going for right there. But I'm not exactly sure how phase rush is compared to something like Fleet Footwork or, you know, the electrocution.
Yeah, Electrocution is such a strong rune, and I'm surprised we didn't see it, because we did see it last game with the Akali picking it up, but this game is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I think the Akali is a little too greedy, especially because of how much zoning and Cho'Gath Blake can do as the game has
Oh, good damage gonna be coming in. Not gonna find much onto the side of FPE, but the opponents, however, this is going to be a little bit onto the Jinx and Leona. Still, though, they're going to be at an amount of health where they will be comfortable going for an all-in. Let's see, though, back over to the mid lane. There's them coming from both sides, clearing up those waves, and they're just going to keep themselves investing. And NCS already up for the side of scheduling Knightmares. They're looking good. Lost chapters can be bought for the way. Let's see whether or not they will get that Luden's Companion soon. Obviously, from the other side, the Caston still trying to play in the lane, even up that CS, but when the Sway comes back, they're really going to be forcing that Caston to back and potentially going to be able to turret play up.
Now, do take note of this Darius and how he has his rune right now. Conqueror typically is a rune phase rush. Only when there's a lot of frontline that you have to go for in against Darius, and because he gets to fight against a Cho'Gath and Diego and a Leona, I feel like stacking Conqueror is just going to be super easy for him, and so compared to phase rush to try to get him in the backline, they have more than enough ability to catch the backline thanks to either a flanking Garen or a Kassadin. He doesn't really need to go with phase rush, and so it's definitely going to be really different dynamic for Knightmare to keep account of. It's just he's not going to be phase rush. He's going to be Conqueror. He's going to be getting AD and healing throughout the rest of these trades. But enough yapping about the junglers. Top lane is looking kind of alright. Beartail is forcing his wave into a Seaboyer, which is not ideal considering that your matchup or your lane isn't exactly the greatest. I will take a note though that considering how this Fairy Charm is only really built for Cho'Gath if he's going to he does have Grasp. I'm wondering if that was just by accident he doesn't even know off of him, or if the Mega Brain thing, and you don't really need that Halo play. But I am going to be a little concerned in seeing where exactly his build is going to go throughout the late and the rest of the game, as Spartan is going to be spotted out by Boywife. Not really going to be in any range of an apprehend, so good there. But we do have a fight happening bot lane, as you saw just there. Hamilcar was stuck up by the Unraveled Earth because of the Alistar headbutt.
Oh, able to catch somebody out. Oh, that's the kill. How on earth? Okay, well, Vigo is going to be able to get up. Good for blood too. Oh boy, might be seeing traded out. Good. Airborne's to come out. The Alistar able to get the engage off, but not going to be able to trap anybody. The Jinx forcing a little bit of damage, but still, it's not the best thing in the world. Tate gonna take a hit, but still back in the lane. Leona at around 60% HP, and they'll just be able to walk.
Now, me personally, if I was Alturas right there, I would have immediately taken the fight after the Unraveled Earth went out. Because Alistar and Talia just burned all of their CC for that one play, and it didn't really chunk Leona as much as they hoped for. With that being said, didn't really look for the trade, so it's kind of just like a hindsight play. But I really would have liked to see a little bit of aggression from that play. With that being said, Wei is looking pretty strong right now. As Milkar fighting strong here.
Let's keep him out onto Alistar, flashing away, gonna be able to get the next stun on, and they want to go closer to their turret, but right now it seems as if SK, unless they really play aggressive, they're gonna be able to get out for free. Back up towards the top lane, first plate about to be taken. That's gonna be a little bit of gold going over, and side of SK, they're gonna be happy with that, but right now already great Berserker Greaves and Aaron is already starting up on that Stride Break.
Stride Breaker's definitely going to be pretty difficult to play against. Meritel not able to land a Rupture on Seaford. Just going to take a lot of damage with his Judgment.
Oh.
Yeah, he did go with the Vandal Blast here, which means he is going to go to Shirley's build, so not really happy with the setup that he has going, because Shogun really wants to be able to trade with the Halo. Seaboyer is looking for a kill right now. Never mind.
That's what I was talking about. The E from the Garen forces you to go all in if you really want to capitalize off of the armor being destructed. Especially when the opponent is underpowered. That's the Weaver's Wall coming in, forcing this Jinx to go under the map, very bottom side, and they're being overwhelmed, they're being suffocated. A little bit of damage can come through, but it's not enough to really ask for anything. Hamilcar can be shut down, and over towards the top side, early damage is seen as well. Devasi is going to be activated, a little bit of damage, but the Garen's going to get away. Let's see how long they will be able to go away for, since they can get out for a bit. They will be able to get that passive activated, but Diego is hunting, able to find them out and see if the Q will get them up to enough speed. Boyway finds kill, and a flash will be extended on. Oh, never mind. The flash won't be seen from the side of the Vigo, and instead SK is just gonna be able to take kill, and they're still not in the lead gold-wise. This game is very reminding of last time.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really expect. Well, okay, we could expect it is something you can see. 20 deaths within the first 10 minutes. I'm looking at Pyrosis. But there's not a lot of aggression now. Up until that, nice flash from Boyway, but Everstar's looking to continue the fight.
Yeah, Boywife gonna be able to back off though. They're not gonna play too aggressively. Just Garen able to catch out their opponent, and without their dirt anywhere in sight, that's gonna be Brettle taken down. But right now, Whale's gonna be there, looking to get the next kill. Not gonna be able to connect the solo kill. Maybe Leona gonna be able to keep them in place. Stun comes through. Root's gonna be there. Not gonna be able to get much after Ignite comes out, but I don't know if that's gonna secure the kill. It does not. They won't be able to really engage to finalize it. So SK, they are equalizing kills. They're a little bit down on gold, but that's not too much to really worry about this yet.
And now, I should have shut my mouth because there's just a lot of random fights happening between all points on the map. And unfortunately, Berta was caught out in a pretty bad spot, and Spartan was able to capitalize on it by being able to just Q throughout the bush, and you can't really miss at that point. So well played to them. We do have the Stride Breaker bought already for the Darius. That is impressively early. They have some action bottling as the Turris is here to potentially look onto Tate.
Look at the item for that Shogun.
Yeah, like I said, the Shirley is fine, it's just not the right move.
I would not have expected this, but okay, yeah, extra speed is gonna be there, and let's see, Darius gonna start coming down towards the bot lane, gonna be able to connect to the Jinx, gonna be happy with that. Leona ult's gonna be there, but Airborne comes down, gonna be able to connect the double, good stuff coming in. Darius able to find one of the ultimate, and maybe they are able to connect this back in. No, they won't, but the Axe's gonna be able to do it. Essence secures the kill. Cannon's gonna be there, but it instantly gets cut down by the turret. Wasn't before, but instead, it's gonna be that turret to really take the hit.
Yeah, really well played from all points of Final Boss Esports. Really showing the reason why I was so distraught of being able to play against it, because the Unravel Earth sets up so much, and so is the Alistar. So there's not really much you can do if it's able to get a play onto you, but luckily, Talia doesn't have anything, and Knightmare was able to just play around all of Talia's cooldowns and get smart. Ultras is back here, so continue to do it.
Jungler's not. Oh, my great steal coming in, and that's gonna be a kill as well. And then it's gonna look to be a second, and that's gonna secure it. The Alistar falls to the ground, and kill lead is going to be regained along with the gold lead with 6 Drakes along with a dragon. Or sorry, 6 Krubs along with the dragon. It's really looking like SK is the team to beat them.
Did someone just flash? Yeah, I think Alturas just flashed. Okay. But, yeah, that was a really well played catch from Viego, considering now that he was past level 6, he did get his resets. He also has a Triforce on his back. But, you know, Darius was stuck in a pit in an Ocean Dragon, and as a jungler, I know how miserable it is to try to fight while an Ocean Dragon is slowing you from a 40% on hit. It is really bad. So, unfortunately, Spartan wasn't able to secure the dragon, and Knightmare was able to... Dragon was able to get secured by Knightmare with 78 HP. So, it's really well played to him. While we're in this little goal, I want to ask, are you not aware of the Speedster Cho'Gath build?
I was not. I was not under the impression this was a thing. I guess it makes sense to do the Cho'Gath execute that was there, but I did not realize this was a thing people actually went for. And I kind of maybe would have understood it if it was like you went for like treasure first, but I mean, I would not have expected a support item to really be built by a top laner, but I guess this is something that is an actual thing. I mean, I have not actually been able to catch up with, like, I know Darius meta, and that's like about it for me at least, but the engagements can be here, double airborne can come up, stun goes out as well, but nobody's even going to care to engagement, mind the Leona can do it, silence comes through, but right now it's just this Jinx able to hold them in place and start just completely melting down, but at this point they don't want to take engagements, they want to take towers, up towards the top side, they'll be able to beat this thing.
Yeah, we did have Darius punishing Viego outside taking all of his top towers. We do have a fight potentially breaking out topside. Flash from Beartail, followed by the Shirelles. That's exactly why this is the Speedster Cho'Gath. You just can't catch him. But basically how this build works, just for those who don't know, as well as, you know, just catching up with the meta. The Rune page was supposed to be Halo Blades and Axiom Arcanist as your secondary, but what you do is that you immediately rush to get these biotic moves, just because it gives you a free Baron recall and it also gives you additional movement speed out of combat, so you run across the map really fast. And you rush Shirelias because it's a pretty cheap item. I think it's like 2000, 2900, I could be wrong. It gives you move speed, it gives you AP, it gives you mana regen, it gives you a lot of things that Cho'Gath loves in the game. And because you're doing this whole max build where your Rupture has like 80-90% AP scaling, and it's on a pretty fast cooldown. I think it's going to be like 3.5 seconds once you buy the Shiralias. You just abuse the fact that you're super fast, followed by the fact that you do a lot of damage, and you just run down your opponent after enough damage to just hit them. And you follow that up with like a Dead Man's and a Force of Nature to continue getting more speed. And eventually you just become so tanky and speedy that you just can't run from him. So it's a little unfortunate that Baratel doesn't have the 100% optimal base build, but he's still showing that this build cannot be stuck on enough. And outside of that, there's really nothing crazy going on around the map. Knightmare was able to secure the Herald for scheduling Nightmares, and this dragon will be spawning within the next 30-40 seconds, so maybe they're going to look for a Herald play on the side to try to pressure them off a bit. Maybe they want to look at Herald mid just to open up the map. We'll see how it continues. Looks like Boylife is forced to catch Neversell top lane. Castle is finally doing his thing.
Right now, it does seem as if a little bit of damage up towards the castle could be something trying to attack up. Looks as if Atacon's going to be the next target for these teams. Flash comes down, Darius going to keep them in place, but they will be able to make their way out in the end. The Great Escape is there, the Ignite will start ticking down, but with the amount of people starting to push in, it's going to be the Demacia coming straight on through to the fight. They got their limit feet slow to find any shield value, and this is going to be melted as well, taking care of the kill, evening up that kills 6 to 6 and 32 to 31.7. It's not too bad of a lead, but as of now, FBE, they want to be able to take the break, and with the team in control of the tempo, they're definitely going to be
400 gold isn't exactly something crazy to expect, but it's also really just, it's a nice breath of fresh air to considering you look at the graph, like scheduling Nightmares is such a good position right up until that point. Oh my god, the gold swing from 12 minutes and 50 seconds all the way up is actually crazy because of all these catches that they're going to get at track. What about these boys looking to siege the mid lane? Terrace is there to ward off any sort of real aggressive lane. And they're really just trying to look to get across the map. Wei is shoving in top lane pretty hard, but and that's a chunked out Garen. I'll say there's 2 Merc Shreds coming out from Final Boss Esports, and there is a lot of CC from Leona, the Play, and the Cho'Gath. Oh no, Boylife.
oh, look at that damage. Boylife's going to be forced to flash. I don't love that, but there's going to be a little bit of damage in the mid lane as well. Boy, how are they alive? Oh my god. They somehow get out the Darius a little bit caught to the punch. Ooh, DP going to be activated, able to get them back into the rest of the team. And they did expend both summoner spells, but they are also keeping the gold away from FBE. So Final Boss Esports is going to be a little bit below now when it comes to the gold. But there's the DP up towards the tower. Looks like we might see it fall. Yes, we will. DP is going to be coming in as well. Garen's going to be looking to get out.
No.
And despite having the movement speed, it's going to be an overwhelmment here with a 1v4.
Oh no, Baratel.
That's going to do it. Boyer to get the kill, but it's not the end of the world whatsoever. It should be considered a big play with the side of SK taking the Atacon, and after that they're going to be really in the lead and see if they can utilize this to get this.
Yeah, super huge swing, and I'm a real Baratel was definitely not in the best position to be there. I think that tower was going to die regardless if you TP'd there, so a little unfortunate that that was the end result of it all. With that being said, scheduling Nightmares did get the Otacon instead, but Otacon's not going to be doing as much for them compared to the last game. Because they're currently down both souls, and I don't think there's going to be a really good way of being able to actually utilize... Oh, wait, no, it's a revive one. They should be just running it down big.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big one for him to get this. And with Herald coming in as well, that's going to get the first hit on, engaging in. Grub starts spawning as well, withdrawing away from the fight. But they're not going to be the tower to fall. It's not looking amazing. No kills found for SBC yet, but right now the scheduling looking at something, but they still can't withdraw. 2 more people, 3 more people, no kills, but not the worst situation for either team. They kind of did lower the amount that you could ask for the side of the scheduling Knightmares. Lots of people going to come over. Maybe we'll see the Renegade. A lot of volatile players coming to the side of Final Esports. Trying to go aggressive. As there's the first. Looking potentially find a second onto the Talia. Not going to be able to get this yet. There's going to be the second coming in. Switching over to the Talia. Looking to go for more. That's the triple. Trying to get a fourth. Will they be able to connect? That's going to be the question. As the Darius so overwhelmed, so unhappy, and a quadra kill, securing the fight and making SK the team to really come back and hit this game where it hurts.
That's Viego, baby. 200 years of resets, and really well played from Knightmare, being able to buffer through all the CC thanks to the invuln provided by the passive, as well as his ultimate. There's just no way Knightmare was going to be able to get the gold if they don't properly lock him down. And unfortunately, the first death was never saw be kind of one of the most important ones to die. With that play, they were able to get the in-hit mid-tower and potentially look to prep up this dragon. They are going to have to consider that. So they are in a bit of a bad situation, but that is a lot of pressure being relieved off them as the mid lane is out. The symbiotic souls are secured for this Cho'Gath too, so he will be moving extremely fast.
The problem is, the Darius and Garen are both going to be able to get away from him relatively easily, with the Darius having Deadman's Plate and Stride Breaker, Garen having Stride Breaker and the, I don't even remember the name, not gonna lie, but I know the ability gets you ghosted, and that's about, Phantom Dancer, they have the Phantom Dancer, which gives you a little bit extra, and I mean, I like the Phantom Dancer a decent amount, but I'm not sure if it can be fast enough now that I really think about it, because it obviously does give you a little bit when it comes to going through minions, but right now, a little bit of engagement is going to be coming across this dragon. It's important for both teams, but it's really going to come down to who's the one to get it. There's the Viego trying to engage, not going to be able to do it just yet, and Leon's going to be able to walk away. Leona's trying to create some pressure, make a little bit of acknowledgement that they cannot push through. Sun's to come out. There's the way to get a little bit of chip damage. Instantly, Temtech Break gets shut down. Flash comes in from the Leona, I believe, and the aggression's there. Lee's going to start up the engagement, TPing in, instantly TPing into the fray, though, which already we're seeing Sun coming through. There's the airborne as well. What are their shields from onto him, but Toretto going to be the one to secure the kill.
That is not the best TP spot to be in, I will say. It was a little unlucky that the solar player wasn't able to win once Darius, considering that he did. He just has so much more to do that played. But man, it is just not a great position to be TP'd right in front of 3 CC menaces being away the Cho'Gath. And now SK gets his Baron. Z-Boyer wants to look to try to get this mid tower, but is unable to. The fear is not able to hit anyway. Garen's just run away scot-free.
Yo, 7, it seems like this Viego might be trying to engage once more, but they will leave it right now, and they have a lot of items coming up. It seems like they're going to be going for Witsen next, I think, is the name of the item.
Yep.
But we'll see. Oh, yeah, there it is going to be bought out, and that gives them Trinity Force to start us off, and with so many items, so many healing options as well coming in, there's a lot of good stuff coming through from this Viego with 9-1 as their KD. Going up against a 2-3 Gary should be easier. The Garen a little bit more strong with the Infinity Edge bought out, but I'm not sure whether or not they're going to be able to find much against this team either. So I really do think that SK, they're in a massive lead right now, and they're going to be able to extend it.
We'll have Spartan getting caught out here. Not really too great considering Nightmare is in position, but he's by himself. Casting here and R recalling to stop this bot push that's happening right now. But maybe a little too late at this point. Cho'Gath with the speed build is running up top, but he has so much weight here thanks to the Shroud. But
oh, look at that. A shutdown comes through, and it's pretty good, but right now TPs are going to be in play. 4 people walking right onto it, but as of now, Cho'Gath is still taking some damage, but in the middle of the fray, Flash gets activated, and it's a good amount from the
oh my god.
Nightmare staying alive, keeping themselves in the fray, but finally being shut down by Garen. And we're not getting started. Darius, Alter's going to be able to get the comeback though, and Seaforth trying to get more flash out from the Jinx. They have the speed. They have the speed. They're going to be able to slow down the Garen.
A Millikar, the ADC GOAT, getting 2 kills and 4 deaths all over Final Boss Esports. This Jinx is excited. She's ready to end this game. Tate is the only one left as Baratel and Millikar are looking to siege this tower.
That's gonna do it. Oh my gosh, Baron buff activated. And now it's just the Talia try and fend off this giant storm that's incoming. TP's can be good as well. At this point, this Cho'Gath is so cute. You just have them taking full toll, but they don't even need these minions to be straight on back. Baron buff gets activated on them as well. There's the 3 to fall, and that's the Nexus down. A 2-0 lead, leading the side of the Knightmares to a decisive victory.
Alvarado, no!
Oh,
They were
God,
so close.
oh.
Wait! Oh my god, no, the minions! And the grubs, the minions, the grubs take the Nexus, no way!
That's
Scheduling Nightmares, holy crap.
Gar Goomba. I don't think I would have ever expected that game to end like that. 1 minion just said, oopsies, y'all are done for the night. And FBE, they look to show some signs of life towards the end there, but unfortunately, they just got destroyed by a minion.
6 grubs are too OP, guys. Put it in your notes. You gotta prioritize grubs from now on.
Exactly.
But let's be real. If Summit had a March Madness right now, this was definitely gonna ruin everyone's brackets right there. I did not expect Final Boss Esports to get 2-0 by scheduling Nightmares, but scheduling Nightmares showing that they still have vision in their eyes and they're ready to just pounce on everybody. And they're looking for a really solid, like, middle of the pack team, but considering they're able to hit up towards Final Boss Esports, they're really strong contenders for like top 4 at this playoff season, if not like finalists.
Yeah, that really was just a dominant showing there, and the Nightmares, scheduling Nightmares, they're going to be able to take down Final Boss Esports in the 2-0 fashion, drafting some unconventional comps. They were definitely something from FBE, but they did not conclude with a win. But that's going to be it from us at Summit Esports. Make sure to stay tuned for more games coming soon. But Gargoomba, thank you so much for being on the desk with me. Thank you to Rat Dancer, our producer, making the show go on smoothly. But have a good night, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye, guys.